Hi everyone, welcome to another live ukulele lesson with me, Matt Stead. I hope you're keeping well wherever you are. It is absolutely sweltering here today, so I apologise. Clammy hands, and I'm sure I'll have a foggy mind, but it's fine. We'll be fine. We'll get through this. So welcome guys. Hi Pam. Hi Alistair. So I've got a few things to tell you about, which we'll get onto in just a minute. But just a reminder, we're going to have a look at a really beautiful piece of music tonight, Nature Boy. Everyone kind of thinks of it as a Nat King Cole song, but it was actually written by a guy called Eden Ahbez. It's quite an interesting story. I think I'll get into that in just a minute, but let's just welcome everyone first and get going. Few things to tell you about. I've got some exciting things coming up. We've got the retreat coming up this weekend, the Forest Ukulele Retreat. In fact, Alistair, I shall see you there. Really excited to welcome a load of people into the forest with some brilliant teachers. We got Jeff Peterson, Sam Muir, Peter Luongo, some brilliant players, Victoria Vox as well. So this is almost like our warm-up for it, which will be nice. We're going to get you ready for some chord melody, which would be really fantastic. But for those of you that couldn't make it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do much more live streaming this year than I have done in the past. So keep an eye out on our Facebook page and the YouTube page, and I will endeavour as best I can to live stream as much as possible. In terms of the timings, that's probably going to be mostly the jams, which will be in the evenings from about 7-8 o'clock, and the teachers' concerts, which will be a similar time each evening. So if you're at Loose End, hi Indrani, hi Shona, hi Alistair. If you're at a Loose End and you fancy joining in, just have a look on Facebook and YouTube under my accounts, and hopefully you'll see lots of stuff happening. Another really fun thing is that, believe it or not, I'm coming up to 100k on YouTube. It's gone absolutely mad, which is fantastic. Obviously, I really wanted to celebrate it. Plus, we've got the ukulele retreat. I've got some big announcements coming about next year's festival. I've got a special article in Uke magazine. So this month, there's all sorts of stuff going on. And basically, I wanted to say a massive thank you to you guys, because is my ugly mug. It wasn't meant to be that big, because if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing any of this, and I appreciate that every single day. I feel really lucky to do what I do. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a big party. I haven't set the date yet because I'm in ukulele mode, but we're going to have a big party, an online party, so you can all come and take part, and we're going to have a live jam. We'll do some Q&A. I'm going to have a couple of giveaways, so I might even be giving away a free ukulele, but all sorts of other stuff, so stay tuned to that. And hopefully that'll be loads of fun. I'll make an announcement of that in the next week, probably over the retreat weekend. We'll be back for another Melodic Mondays as well in 2 weeks' time. We're going to look at a beautiful jazz arrangement of Love Letters for that one. We will have lots of new stuff coming up from September onwards when I'm a bit less busy. So that's going to be the next Melodic Mondays. And Canna Capilla, we've also got a bit of a delay on because of the retreat. So that's going to be in 2 weeks' time rather than the coming Monday. If you're ever not sure what's happening when, just go to my website, mattsteadukulele.com. If you scroll about a third of the way down the page, it will have all 3 live events that are due to happen over the coming weeks, so you can check it there. And of course, you can check Karen's brilliant diary that she puts on our Facebook group. And exciting news, Karen is in the UK, so that's good, isn't it? She's in London. She's very tired. She's just made it over, so that's really exciting. We'll do some live jamming with her with the retreat. And then finally, I've got another live lesson coming up. No, I haven't. Oh yes, I have. This Wednesday we've got While My Guitar Gently Weeps, where we're going to do strumming like Jake Shimabukuro, which is going to be really exciting. Almost forgot about that. Crazy. So yeah, loads and loads of exciting stuff coming up to enjoy, which should be loads of fun. Just wanted to mention, obviously a lot of you have heard the really sad news of Esther that passed away um, last week, and Esther was a massive part of everything that I do. In fact, she was instrumental really in setting up the Canopila sheets. She helped bring people to my website. She's one of my longest running students for the last few years as well, so she was massively involved. She sadly passed away from her cancer, but peacefully, last week. So obviously my heart goes out to any of you that are grieving like myself, and to Esther's family and friends, and just to Esther, just an amazing person. So I just wanted to mention that. We've lost a few really, really good people this year, several regular retreat attendees as well. So I'm going to do a couple of tributes at the retreat for that as well. But just wanted to say I'm with you. Okay, that was hard. Let's have a look at our song for tonight. Now, this one, it looks totally overwhelming when you look at a sheet like this, right? You think, oh my goodness, wow, there's so much going on here. But as with all music, we can simplify it to its basics. We can find different ways of doing things. And as you play it, you realise that a lot of what looks like the busyness is just a way of notating what's going on. So don't be freaked out by this at all. We're gonna have a look at Nature Boy. As I said, an interesting story if anyone's interested. So Nat King Cole made this song famous, but one day, I think it was 1947 or it might be 1946, this chap turned up at his concert, and he was called Eden Ahbez, and he was kind of like one of the original beatniks. He lived a real kind of hippie lifestyle. And he came to him with this really, really beautiful song. Alistair's just saying the score's a bit blurry on screen. Is that the same for anyone else? It looks clear on mine. Might just have to refresh, Alistair, but you can also download it as well from the link as well. But what I can do as well is I can make it really big and really small. So don't worry, we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, this Eden Ahbez turned up at one of Nat King Cole's shows, and he had this piece written, and he'd written it all out of sheet music, and he gave it to Nat King Cole to sing with his band. And basically, Nat King Cole didn't really think much of it, but at the end of his set, he put it in there. And then it went massive because the crowd went absolutely wild, and he had to do 2 encores with this song, which is mad, right? So what happened then was Nat King Cole recorded it, and it became a #1 hit single in 1948. The trouble was, this Eden Ahbez guy had disappeared, and basically Nat King Cole and the record company couldn't find him. And the brilliant thing which I love about this story is that when they tracked him down, he was camping below the L of the Hollywood sign. How cool is that? So he's just camping out there. And yeah, this song basically made his fortune. So I love these little kind of serendipitous stories. It's what makes music magic, isn't it? So yeah, cool. This one's in the key of F sharp minor. That's why another reason it looks so busy, because we've got all these sharps and flats in the sheet music. We're not going to stress too much about the chords and whatnot. I'm going to get straight into the chord melody and show you how this works and how it breaks down basically as we go. But you can see those 3 sharps next to the treble clef right at the start. That's telling you that we're in the key of F sharp. It could also be in the key of A major. You can think of it because of those 3 sharps. But as the kind of style marker at the start dictates, minor and moody, you know that really we're in a minor key rather than a major key. And you'll feel that with that first chord. Da, 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 da. Really, really pretty chord. Really, really lovely. Now, an F sharp normally, an F minor, sorry, would normally look a little bit like this. We'd have 2 fingers up here on the 1st fret and this one down here on the 3rd fret of the A string. But if we want to move that up to make it an F sharp minor, the only trouble is we need another finger to cover this note back here or to bar the first fret. So what we do is we end up with this shape, which looks like a G7 moved up towards our nose, and our little finger comes out here. Notice then we've still got the F sharp minor, we've still got the F minor shape, but we're also covering the empty string on the C string. Now, if you really struggle with that, as with a lot of this stuff tonight, there are different ways you can play that. So if you really struggle, because particularly on a tenor uke like I'm playing here, it's a bit of a stretch, right? So what you can do here, if you want, is just play the notes on the bottom 3 strings. So you can end up with this shape. So if you find that a little bit easier, that's absolutely fine. Or if you want the full version, like so, which is really, really nice. Hi Karen, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well over there in Maryland. Is it hot like it is over here? Apparently by the time we get to the retreat it's going to cool down, you'll be glad to know, everyone, but you might need a rain mat, who knows, right? So we start before that with a C sharp note. Now it looks like a C note if you just read the music, right? If we zoom right in again, look. It looks like it's a C note up there on the first note of the first line, but we're playing it on the first fret, and an open C is a C, isn't it? This one is a C sharp, and that's again because we're in the key of F sharp. Every time a C comes up, we're going to be playing a C sharp. Now the cool thing about this, let me see if I can bring this down here a little bit and make it bigger. This might work. Yeah, this will work. The cool thing about this is if I come in and close cam, the note is part of the F sharp chord. So you just pick the C string either with your index finger like this, or you can pick it with your thumb. Doesn't really matter. You'll get a sharper tone with this finger or a more mellow tone with your thumb. I used to play this Pima style, so I would kind of like that, but I've started using my thumb for this to give it a nice, I think it has a slightly more kind of a warmer sound to it. So have a little experiment with both and see what works for you, see which one you prefer. But in effect, what we're going to do is hold down this chord shape, bit of a stretch, right? Remember, you can do this one if you prefer, okay? And we're going to strum down all over the way, like so, okay? Then we're just going to take our little finger away here for this open A. And then for the next part, it's really simple. Just strum down with your thumb as far as the E string. Or if you're doing that kind of Pima style, as we often call it, you would pinch the top 3 strings like that. You could even do a little roll if you wanted to, which would be super nice. There we go. Oh, hi Diana, good to see ya. You're always welcome. And if you get stuck with anything, just give us a shout, Diana. So hopefully you enjoy this, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. Okay, so I'm gonna put that all together, and then we'll do it together. So we've got. Okay, let's try that together. This is in 3/4, so come in after 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and again 2, 3. Okay, and if you're doing this version, which makes it a little bit easier, this time you're just going to strum the bottom 3 and the middle 2 like that. Okay, all about hitting the right melody, so that gives us our nice opening. Really, really pretty, isn't it? I think it's gorgeous, gorgeous song. The next bit is probably one of the hardest bits in the song, believe it or not, but I'll kind of talk you through it. What you're going to do is you're going to hit that first fret here on the C string again, like so. Indrani, sounds like you're getting the weather after us by the sounds of it. So yeah, we're all going to be suffering with it eventually, aren't we? So what we're going to do, we've just come out of this chord. Now all those 2-1-2s you see in that F sharp minor, can you see how they're tied? There's those kind of what looks like a rainbow going between the two. That just means that we let that ring out, so you only strum that twice. That one, okay? And that leaves us with this shape down. What we do is we hit the C string, and then we go right up here to the 4th and 5th frets, and it will look like a G shape that's been moved up and over, right? If I tip so you can see my dots, so you can see which ones I'm on, 4 and 5, okay? So you know how a normal G major shape looks like this? If you imagine you've taken that up to the top 3 strings and then shifted it along to 4 and 5 like this. And of course you can use that use that chord diagram at the top to help you. Can you see on that A7 flat 9, that's the next chord, it looks like a kind of G shape, doesn't it, in the top 3? So that's what we're after. Now what I used to do on this one is keep that shape down as I did the next bit like this. Now that's quite tricky because it means you've got to use this little finger. If I come in closer to do everything, you've got to do this. So what I do now is I prefer to just strum this chord, the A7 flat 9, and then after I've hit this note here at the 5th, I'll move it out. So the next few notes you can play out of the chord, which sounds really sweet and it makes it a lot easier. Okay, so that will look like this. Little finger down, up to 7, and then you can use either of these first fingers to play this note here. Okay, that will look like this. Notice I'm using a little bit of vibrato, just gives it a little bit of flavour. Okay, then we come back to this shape again. You'll soon get used to this shape. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be with it. Okay, and we strum all the way again. Open A, top 3. And then we repeat exactly what we just did. Hit this first fret, G shape at 4 and 5. So basically the first line is just the same thing repeated twice, isn't it? Which is really, really nice. Makes it a little bit easier. There's so much repetition in music. So I'm just going to take a quick swig. Cherry Aid, it's like I'm a 7-year-old again. We've treated the kids because it's summer. Okay, right, let's put all that together. I'll play it once and then we'll try it all together. Okay, it will sound like this. Hit the 1 up to this chord here. Then exactly the same again. Let's try that together really slowly. Come in with me after 3. 1, 2, and 3. And okay. Up to that G shape. And we go again, exactly the same as before. Concentrate on that G7 shape. There's your 1, C sharp. Up we go. Isn't that lovely? Really moody, really nice. It really captures the feel of the song. I love the minor feel of this song. Normally I'm a major key guy because I like the happiness of it, but this is so mean and moody. I love it. Absolutely fantastic. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this down for a minute just so you can see both hands, and I'll show you what I was talking about with the 2 options. So notice when I'm playing this, I'm just using my thumb for everything at the moment, like this. What you could do is if you use Pima style technique where your thumb takes a G string, index finger takes the C, middle finger takes the E, and ring finger takes that open A. Okay. What you can do is you can either strum down with your nail for the first chord like that, or you can pinch all 4. Notice how it's got more of a shrill sound. Let me do it. So what you've got to do is kind of make a value decision sometimes on when you're playing fingerstyle. Do I want to go for that warmth in this piece? Do I want a kind of a slight variety between the two? Or do I want to go for that kind of shrillness? And of course you can accent that by playing what we call, when we play down here, because this is called the bridge, we call it ponte, which I think is Italian for bridge. And when we play up here, because it produces a sweet sound, we call it dolce, which I think is Italian for sweet, I think. So if you really want to accent it, if you want to make it mellow, you can play up this end. Okay. Notice if I do exactly the same thing back here towards the bridge. It's really shrill. So that's something as well you can use in your playing to develop some sort of different tones to see what you like. I think because I kind of like the melancholy of it, I like to use just my thumb basically. I think it's got a sweetness to it, which I really like. Now this next bit is where it gets a bit hairy because we go really high up the fretboard. But notice, oh there we go. Thanks Indrani, rescued me with a bit of Italian. Thanks Indrani. Now, notice on your sheets, you've got a simplified version. Now, when you do a simplified version, there's a fancy name for that as well, but I've forgotten what it is now. There's an Italian term for that. Anyway, when you do a simplified version of something, we tend to leave off the notes on a G string. This can be really good for an arranger as well, because then it doesn't matter whether you've got a high G or low G. People think it's a cheat, but actually, if you think about most chords, they're only sort of 2 or 3, sometimes 4 or 5, but generally like 3 notes. So you can get away with it and it sounds really, really sweet. So let me show you the hard way and then I'll show you the easy way. So we've done both and you can have a go at simplifying it. So let's see how big I can get this line and still see me. I think if I put it over this way, actually, I can head over. No, I can't. Sorry guys, I'm gonna put it over here. I think we can do it. Let me just make it a bit smaller. Okay. Gosh, it's really hard to control this thing. I have to use my my scroll button and it's like, if you go too far, suddenly it's like, whoa. Okay, that'll do. Right then, so if I come in close, we're going to go up to this F sharp minor chord now, which is played way up here, where we've got a bar on the 9th fret. Okay, so actually I need to go up one higher, don't I, up to here. And then we've got a finger up here on the 11th fret of the G string like this. It's quite difficult to get your fingers in, isn't it? But it's just about doable, like so. Another way to do it would just be to cover the middle 2 strings with this finger and reach up like this, which is a little bit more comfortable. Okay, which is really sweet as well. The reason that's an F sharp minor is we've taken this A minor shape to A sharp, B minor, C minor, C sharp minor, D minor, D sharp minor, E minor, F minor, F sharp minor. So that's why that note works basically. And we've got that nice note in the chord as well here. So this is one way of doing it, but it is really tough, this chord here like this. Then we hit the 9th fret again. This time I like to use my little finger. And then we basically have what looks like a D minor shape on the top 3 strings at 5 and 6. And then our little finger down here on 8. Like that. It's really kind of nicely discordant, that bit. I really, really love it. It'll sound like this. Whoops, no, I went to the wrong chord. I was on the wrong bit. Sorry, let me do that again. Help if I showed you the right thing, wouldn't it? Okay. And then we've got this shape like that. Now, if we go to the simplified version and just flick a page, look how much simpler it is if we just miss out that note on the G string. And honestly, it doesn't make that much difference, that note on the G string. So I tend to, when I get to this line, to mostly play from the simplified version. Okay. Now that makes things a lot easier, because what we can do is just do like this mini bar on the 9th fret like this. And then notice I can just hit the middle 2 strings and then the A string. So all I need to do for those 9s is that. And then for the next chord, again to simplify it, we just put 2 fingers down on the 5th and 6th fret in the middle here, and then 1 finger here. Kind of looks like a G minor shape kind of moved out like that, okay? So if I do that from the start of that line, it'll sound like this. Okay, and I'm getting to this shape. Fantastic. Okay, let me know how you got to get on with that. It's quite tricky, quite tricky. I'm finding that a little bit tonight in Johnny because of the heat as well. I'm finding it difficult to keep my fingers steady, but yeah, you'll get it. Keep on practicing. You'll be fine. Now again, we've got 2 versions of playing the next bit. If I shift it over, it's that F sharp minor with the 4-2-4. Now the full version looks like this. It's kind of like a diminished chord that's been stretched out. That shape there. Okay. So it's like, that's your diminished 7th shape, isn't it? We use in a lot of songs. And if you just squeeze those over, you can do it like that. If you've got a strong 1st finger, you can also do this as a barred version like this. Either's absolutely fine. The main thing is just try and get these fingers as close to the right hand metal fret as possible. If I give you this ring finger one for an example, look what happens when I pull it back this way. Hear that buzzing? Whereas if I keep it towards this side of the fret, nice and clear. So the temptation is to do this because it's a bit of a reach, but if you just really try and get right up, you'll get that clarity. But of course, again, what we can do is we can use the slightly simplified version where we just basically ignore the note on the G string. That makes it easier because you can do this shape like this. Whoops, no, you can't, that shape, sorry. Because we don't need this note up here, then it becomes so much easier. It's like a G7 that's been spread out. Okay, see that? We take that up to the 7th fret. And then if you're doing the simplified version, we just go to a G7 shape at 5 and 6, like that. Okay. So that's, oh, I'll show you the more complex version of that measure. So if we do the full version, it will look like this shape here, little finger up to 7. And then we're basically putting our little finger on the 6th fret here and forming like a D minor shape over the top. It's a really pretty chord. Can you see that? Like a D minor with this finger down here. But it's quite tricky, so if you find that really tough, you can just do. It's not a massive difference in sound, right? And sometimes you've got to make that value judgment. I discuss this quite a lot with my students when I used to teach one-to-one. Is it better to play the full chord and have it not sounding too nice because it's really tricky to get all those fingers down? Or is it better to have a really nice ringing chord and not have the kind of issue of buzzing and stuff, but not have all 4 notes? Sometimes it's a value judgment you've got to make, whether you go for that kind of the cleanness of the chord over having all the notes in the chord. And I kind of make that judgment often. Sometimes I really want that G string note, particularly if I'm playing low G, because I like it to ring out. But on high G, you can get away with leaving a lot off. And of course, if you watch players like Jake Shimabukuro, a lot of the time they'll play these stretchy chords. In fact, you'll hear it in the song that we do in a live lesson on Wednesdays, kind of. So Jake uses a lot of chords that only really use notes on the bottom 3 strings, which makes it really easy to move about, and it has this really nice open quality to it. So long story short, simplified version is fine. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's try from the start of this line. You might not think we've got very far, but by the way, there's so much repetition that we're almost halfway through the song. You'll be glad to know. Okay, so let me try that second line. Here's the full version, okay, where I've got the bar on the 9th fret and my ring finger here. Little finger down here, and then D minor shape with the stretch. The weird 2-4-2-4 chord, F sharp minor 7. And then 6th fret with a D minor shape. Okay, like that. Let's try the simplified version. I'll flick it like that. This time we're just going to use any finger to bar the 9th fret. 5 and 6, little finger on A. 2 and 4 like a stretched out G7. And then a G7 shape at 5 and 6. Okay, fantastic. Now what we'll do now, we'll just take a breath just for a second, and let's have a look at what we could do next. I think we might even put that all together. Wayne's just saying if he uses the bar for the F sharp minor 7, it allows him to smoothly get the F7 with his pinky. But the first option's not bad either. Let's have a look at that. So going from, let me go to the full version. The F sharp to the F7. Yeah, so yeah, I got you. So Wayne's using the barred version of the F sharp minor like that. Okay. And then you can then go to, you could even do a barred version of the next chord as well, couldn't you? Which would look something like that. So yeah, lots of different ways to do it. Yeah, it's all right, Wayne. It's the minor 7 that threw me, but I get what you mean. Yeah, I get where you are now. Yeah, the barred version allows you to pull back. So bar up here, you can then pull back to the next F sharp, and you can bar this one. Okay, so it just kind of smooths it all out. So yeah, it's something worth experimenting with. Okay, what I want to do then is go like painfully slowly, but let's play it from the start. Let's put everything we've done together so far. So we're going to go right from the start. Hi Harry, hope you're keeping well, mate. We're going to go right from the start and let's play through to measure 7. All right, so from the first 7 measures basically. Here we go. Ready? So remember this shape. You're going to be using that a lot tonight. Okay, so 2, 3, all the way, little finger off and strum, top 3. Fingers in the right place for the C sharp, the 1, up to that G shape at 4 and 5, 5, 7 and 5 down here. And then we repeat that exactly the same again. Get your G shape, G7 shape down first. Okay, this C sharp again. And then we go up to 4 and 5 here. Okay. Then you've either got your full version with a bar or just the 9th fret like so. Pull back to this 5 and 6, the F sharp minor major 7. That unusual stretchy F sharp minor. And then the beautiful chord, that F sharp minor 6 up here. Really, really sweet, isn't it? So if anyone's really nerdy with their kind of music knowledge, your uke theory, if you like, what's happening here is quite interesting because we're going from an F sharp minor to an F sharp major 7 to an F sharp minor 7 to an F sharp minor 6. basically we've got chromatic movement. It's all based on an F sharp chord, but we have this note coming down half a step each time. That's what's happening here. It's quite a rare thing to do, I think, in the 1940s. So really, really beautiful and really, really unusual as well. But really great. It sounds terrific, doesn't it? It sounds really lovely. Hi, Linda. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing good. Okay, so let's have a look at the next bit then. We're going to jump to over here where we're on measure 6, 7, yes, measure 8. Okay, measure 8. Now here is where we've just come out of this chord, this kind of unusual one. You might be playing as a G7. Okay, Linda, if you're just catching up, it's measure 7 going into 8 we're just looking at. Now this next one, if you're doing the full version, it's all about using the right fingers. So when you hit this B note here, the 2, try using your second finger. And then what you can do is you can take that up to the 5th fret, put down this finger here, almost like a bit of an F shape, and then we bar. Okay, so we get this. See how by keeping that finger on the string, kind of guides you into the next chord. And that's something I'm really passionate about. When you go into a hard chord change, if you keep your finger, at least one finger to guide you, that will get you in the right place. Whereas if you just do this, take everything off, then you've got to kind of build from the start all over again. All right, so we've got that one. Or if you want the simpler version, you can just do this shape, which kind of looks like a G7 that's been stretched out here as well. Okay, you can still do this trick, but you'll end up with that shape, which is a little bit easier. Again, there's both options are there. That's why I've done the simplified version, so you can kind of have a little play around and see what works for you. So that gives us this. Okay. Then notice after that we just go back to our F sharp minor again, the good old one. I told you get used to this shape. And then we just play the bottom 2 strings in reverse. Don't move your fingers at all. And then my favourite chord in this whole piece, there's lots of great chords, but this one's lush. G sharp minor 7, G sharp minor 7, okay. And then it's a flat 5. Sorry. It's often called a half diminished, that chord, that. Whenever you get a minor 7 flat 5, it also is a half diminished chord. And it's got a kind of a real tension to it. Almost like you normally get with the 5 chord when you're playing in a key. It's really tense and really unusual. Very exotic sounding. Because normally the 2 chord in any key would just be a plain minor. But in a minor key, we get a half diminished. It's the diatonic chord. I feel like I'm talking a lot of theory, but it's just the chord that naturally comes up in the minor key is a half diminished. And it sounds lush, basically. That's the main thing. So think of it again as, I kind of do a lot based around G shape. So I kind of think of it like a G shape, right? It's been taken up and over, but it's also been stretched apart. Like that. Again, you could play this with a bar, like that if you prefer. Makes it easier. I tend to find I can get cleaner chords if I stretch with 3 fingers rather than using the bar. Okay. So if I go back to that B minor 6, if you're doing, I'll do the full version and then you can try a simplified version if you prefer. That's absolutely fine. Just bring that a bit bigger. So we're going to go from where it says B minor 6 on measure 8. So we hit it up to the 5th, back to our very first chord, and then the chord you're just doing. It's really sweet, isn't it? Then we've got a C sharp 7. This is acting as the 5 chord. We're in the key of F sharp minor, so F sharp, I have to think about the sharps, right? G sharp, A, B, C sharp. So we've got a C sharp in this key. Normally if we're playing in the key of F, it would be a C7, but because we're in F sharp. Okay, and a C sharp 7. And again, this is a chord that you know even if you don't realise it. You know how we normally play an A7 like this? Well, if I was to take that finger up a fret and bar, I'd have an A sharp 7, wouldn't I? If I was to take it up again, I'd have a B7. Up again, there's no B sharp, so next one would be C7. And next one would be C sharp 7. And that's what we've got. This is this chord, okay? It's just a C sharp 7. It's like an A7 taken up. It's really, really sweet, isn't it? Okay. Now, you can, of course, also play that just with the bottom 3, like that, which makes things a lot easier. If I flick to the simplified version, that's exactly what we've got. Look, so we got this. Whoops, I went one too high. Then we introduce this finger on the 5th fret of the E string. And we go to this chord, which is interesting. It's just like the one we're just doing, but this finger's been moved back one. Okay, so that would look like this. If I'm doing the simplified version. But you can also play it if we do the full version out of a bar. Watch this. If I use my 2nd finger here, I can take it up like this. Okay. Then it's less movement, right? Or if I go to the simplified one. Again, you've got to make a value judgment, have a think about which you prefer. In fact, let me know in the comments, which do you guys prefer? Do you like the simplicity of the open chords, the simplified version, or do you like the extra richness of the full version? Do you find the full version easier to do here? I bet Wayne does, because you like your bar chords, don't you, Wayne? And that would allow you to play out of one position, which is quite nice. So there's always advantages and disadvantages of both, right? Let's finish this first verse then. You've done so well. Remember, guys, if you've seen any of my other normal videos as well, you know I'm always saying this all the time. I think half the job of a music teacher is just to encourage and reassure, actually. Don't worry if you haven't got this straight away. If this all looks quite overwhelming, just take a breath and you can always come back to this whenever you want. I never expect anyone to be able to play this straight after the lesson. If you can, that's totally amazing. You should feel really proud of yourself. I wouldn't be able to, I don't think, and I've been playing for years and years. So just see this as a way to think about those finger style techniques, chord shapes, new chords, you know, every tiny thing that you pick up is a new way of learning. That's really important. And then what you can do is take your time with it. This is a slow tempo song, and you can slow it down even more to give you plenty of time. And that's what I do, and just learn a few measures at a time, get those little repeat bits, and you will get it with time, absolutely. So Shell's just asking, might be too deep a dive into music theory, but I seem to remember a lesson in which you explained that minor 6 was an enharmonic equivalent to a minor 7 flat 5. Is there a simple way to explain it to us? Yeah, that's quite an interesting one. So loads of chords will end up with two shapes being the same shape, meaning two chords. So for instance, let's have a look at that example. Where is it? Let's take that B minor 6. Let's take that B minor 6, which if I go in the full version. This is just to answer Shell's question. If you're not interested, don't worry, we'll be back to it in 2 secs, right? But just to answer Shell's question, if we were to do the B minor 6 there, halfway through that second line, that would look like this. Okay, so we would have, where are we? We'd have this shape, 2nd fret here. This shape here, wouldn't we? No, we wouldn't. I've not gone high enough. Sorry, up here. So B minor 6, right? Well, if we know this can also be called, let me just make sure I've got this right. And Yeah, this can also be called a G sharp half diminished. Okay. In fact, we see it on the next chord, on the next one, right? We're only just playing those two, but it comes from the same chord. And basically you can kind of think of it lots of different ways. It's how you get to that chord in the first time depends on which one it's named after. So if we come to this B minor 6, it's kind of based on a B minor like this, where we've taken a G minor, okay, up to be a G sharp minor, A minor, A sharp minor, which is also a B flat minor, right? So you end up with that shape. Oh, I needed to go one more, didn't I? Okay. And then to turn it into the 6, we just take this finger away. All right. And then the other one, where if we think of it as a G sharp half diminished, trying to think of the easiest way to think of it. You could think of it as, yes, the easiest way to do it is to think of it like a diminished chord, which would look like this. Okay. But this note has been brought back one, so it's only a half diminished chord. A fully diminished chord, oh, I feel like I'm getting into too much theory. A fully diminished chord is a first, a flatted third, a flatted fifth, and a double flatted seventh, whereas a half diminished is a first, a flatted third, a flatted fifth, and a flat 7. But yeah, enharmonic chords, you can have two chords with the same shape. Similarly, of course, the one that we all know well is C6 can also be A minor 7. Okay, because a C6 is a C chord with an A in it. And an A minor 7 is an A minor chord with a G in it. So you end up with the same shape. And that's what happens when you start to learn some of these enharmonic chords. It's really, really good because you can kind of, you get one chord shape for the price of, 2 chords for the price of 1 is what I was trying to say. Yeah, absolutely, Indrani. A sharp is a B flat. They both mean exactly the same thing. It depends what key we're in. Keys can only have sharps or flats. So every key has a certain amount of sharps and flats. You can't have a key with sharps and flats at the same time. So in the key of F sharp, because it's named after that sharp, we have to call all those notes that are kind of halfway in between a normal note, we have to call them sharps. When we play an E flat, because that's named after a flat, we have to call them all flats. So yeah, just so you know, but yeah, that A sharp is the same as a B flat. So when you play this, that could be thought as B flat or A sharp, because we've taken an A up. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of interesting. Okay, sorry guys, I got really into the theory. Does that make any sense, Shao? Hopefully it does. I'll try and explain it better later, perhaps at the end if I get the chance. But hopefully it'll give you some idea how you end up with 2 chords with the same name. It's a really common thing. So that took us to the end of that line. Let's just finish off this first verse then. We're going to hit this note here. Notice it's got a little wiggle on it. And remember, a wiggle means vibrato, where you play a note and we have a slight shake. Okay. Now with vibrato, what I like to do is, rather than having the finger right up against the fret, where I really usually recommend to play, just bring it back a little bit like this. You don't have to, but let's see if I get rid of this just for a sec. I like to take my thumb off the back as I vibrato like that. The reason being, when I wobble, I feel like I can move the hand more. When my thumb's there, I feel like it restricts it a bit. But some people do vibrato with their thumb on the back. I think Calais Gaimau does it that way. But I like to move my finger off. You can always use this arm to cradle the uke so it doesn't go anywhere. I think the most important thing about vibrato is that it comes from the elbow. A lot of people think it's the wrist. But actually, if you look at my arm, it's really straight, isn't it? And the wobble is coming from right down here. Okay? Which allows my finger to wobble on the top. It just elongates the note a little bit, allows it to ring out, and it gives it a little touch of flavour. Okay? So that you don't have to vibrato it, but if you are, that's what's going on basically. We've got that vibrato. And you can either do long vibrato with longer, slower movements or short, fast vibrato. I like to go somewhere in the middle like that. Okay, so that's your vibrato, basically just giving it a little bit of flavour. Then we go into a chord which should look relatively familiar. Instead of our F sharp minor like this, we're going to play it like this. Okay, which is quite a lot of fingers squished in, right? It's like a G7 move towards your nose and then this little finger here. The only reason that we need that finger there, so it's not like this or like this, is because the melody note is that B note. Da, da, da. Okay, so that G-shaped little finger, take it off for the open A, and then just strum the top three. Okay. Do that for me after 3, 2, 3. Yeah, lovely. Then we can hit this one more time. Yeah, it's like an E7, isn't it? Yeah. And then we can move this one. We're going to play this shape next, which kind of looks like an F7 shape that's been moved up. And that makes sense, because if we move an F7 up, that becomes an F sharp 7. Move it up again, becomes a G7. Move it up again, becomes a G sharp 7, which is exactly what we need. And we're going to allow this note down the bottom to ring out, because that's the melody note. Isn't that a gorgeous chord? I love the sound of that chord. Really slightly discordant. It's really, really beautiful. The reason it sounds really discordant is that this A note here, this open one, clashes against this G sharp note. You play them on their own and they sound horrible, but when you do it in the chord, just gives it a slight discordancy. There's this lovely quote, I think it was John Coltrane, who once said you can take the whole history of jazz music and boil it down to the playoff between consonants, things that sound pleasant, and dissonance, things that sound a bit disturbing to our ears. So the whole history of jazz is a playoff between consonants and dissonance. And early jazz pieces tended to be quite consonant. Just think of that early ragtime. Hello, my baby. Hello, my da-da-da-da, my ragtime girl. Quite straightforward. And then you think of the really sophisticated jazz of like the hard bop and the bebop era and stuff. It became slightly more discordant because people's ears like the exotic sounds, and this chord is basically, oh excuse me, I got the burps from the cherryade. This chord is a really classic example of that. Any two notes that are half step away, like G sharp and A, they sound discordant. So when we put that chord, it's just the right side of okay. Then we add this little finger in here, the 5th fret of the, sorry, I hit the wrong one, 5th fret of the E string. And then we go to this shape that we've done before again, G shape at 4 and 5. Okay. No, we don't. I was looking at, you know when I said my head was going to go fuzzy because it's like 35 degrees here, I was looking at the wrong measure. Sorry, folks. I'll do that again with close cam. So we've done the chord we just did there, G sharp 7, under where it says number 1. We hit the 4th fret, fingers in the right place. And then we have this really nice 2-part chord with just 5 and 3, 2-part harmony. So you just drag your finger over the top 2. And then you just move whichever finger's on the C string up, because we get this nice kind of rising tension. And then we go to barring the 1st fret, and you're just going to strum the top 3. Okay, so we get this. It's really nice because what we've got going on there is some more chromaticism, because this note here is a D sharp. This note here is an E, and when we go to here, this note is an F. So we've got this, sorry, start from the right place. chromatic movement again. And when we put it against this nice constant note here, we get this, which is really nice, right? I love that. Really simple, but really beautiful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from this note here right at the end of the second line, okay? And I'm going to play fret 12 to the end, okay? Don't worry, Indrani, I feel like it didn't help that I actually got the wrong measure at one point and I was explaining the wrong thing. Sorry, guys. So we're going to look at the very last note of the second line and then measure 12 going into the repeat, basically, which is the whole of the third line, okay? I'll play it once and then see if you guys can join in with me, okay? So remember, I'm coming out of this, we've got this note here, C sharp. Then I put down these fingers. That chord we're just doing G sharp 7. And then 2-part harmony, 5 and 3, 5 and 4. And then all the ones, okay, for that nice final chord there, C sharp 7. So let's give that a go from this number 1 here, right at the end of that line. Okay, you can actually get your fingers ready for the next chord if you like, or you can hit it like this and then put them down. Just strum down. Lovely. First fret, G sharp 7 shape, think F7 moved up. And then 5 and 3, just move that finger up 1. And then bar the first fret. Yeah, that's it. Fantastic. Believe it or not, you've basically played the whole song now, because we go back to the start and then we've got the second repeat, which is almost identical. All right, there's just one little change. So let's go back to the start and let's do it together. Let's go right the way through. In fact, let's go and do it up to and including the first repeat. So this is like we're playing it through the first time. Okay. Brilliant. Oh, I forgot, I think, to show you there was one more chord at the end there, didn't I? I forgot to show you after this one. The first chord of the third line. It's like a G shape moved up and over again. Okay, for that C sharp flat 9. Just ratchets up the tension even more. So when you do this bit, it feels resolved, but when you add this in, it's that kind of nice bit of dissonance again. Then we go back to the start. Okay, so let's go from the start really slowly. 1, 2, 3. This shape, open A, top 3. Hit this thing. Then A7 flat 9s, this G shape up here. 5, 7, 5. We go back to this shape that we started with. Open A, just strum top 3. Just this note here. Another A7 flat 9, which is this shape up here. 5, 7. Then you've got your options, measure 6, next line. I'm just going to bar the 9th fret. Then we go back to here, to this really unusual chord. F sharp minor 7, this stretchy 2 and 4, up to 7, pull it back 1. Lovely. Second finger down here for this B note, take it up to 5 and build your chord around it. And we're back to our original shape once more. 4 and 6 up here stretched out. I love that chord. Then we go back to this note here again, the C sharp. We've got a C sharp 7, this shape up here. 5. Back to this C sharp again. It's the same shape as before, but little fingers at 2 now. And then just before the first repeat, this note here, that lovely dissonant G sharp, 4th fret, 5 and 3, 5 and 4, bar the whole of the first fret, and then G shape on the top two. And then we go back and do it again. Let's do it. 1. Our original shape. G shape at 4 and 5, top 3 strings. 5, 7, 5. Exactly the same thing again. First fret, G shape. Okay, bar that 9th. Back to 5 and 6. 2 and 4s. Original shape. No, I forgot this bit. Sorry, B, no, and then up to the 5th for this one. Sorry, guys, and then back to our original shape. And then this one here, stretch. Okay, back to this C sharp, and then C sharp 7. Take that up to 4 and 5. Last note of that second line now. This shape again, but this time instead of here. This one again. Now that takes us down to the ending here, which is really, really pretty, this G sharp 7. You've already played it. It's the same as that G sharp 7 we were doing just a minute ago, where we take this F7 shape up to 4, 5 and 6 like this. Hit that 4th fret again. We go to the 5 and 3 again. If you're interested, that's a C note up here and a lovely D sharp note here. So again, kind of dissonant, but really nice. But this time we drag it back to the 1st fret for the C sharp note. And then this gorgeous C major 7, which would normally look like this. But I've added this G sharp note in to make it sound even more discordant. I think that's really jazzy. C sharp again, 4th fret of the E string, and then we finish with our original chord, just strum the top 3. Okay. I'll do that second repeat for you just so you can see it. So that G sharp chord up here, 5 and 3. Down to 1, and then this shape, 1, 4, and a final chord. I like to put a little bit of vibrato on that, even though it's a chord. Just kind of give it just a slight wobble, which is really nice to finish it off. Okay. Notice a couple little things there. We've got a rip marker, which means we're slowing down. Plus we've got a decrescendo. Can you see what looks like an arrow getting smaller and smaller? So people get these mixed up. RIT stands for, well, it can stand for a few things, but depending on how slow you go. But generally ritandando is kind of the average one that we use, which just means to slow down gradually. And the arrow means decrescendo, which doesn't mean slow down, it means get quieter. So when you put them together, we're slowing down and we're getting quieter at the same time. It's a nice way to like ease out of a song like this. And hopefully it's really mean and moody. And if you've got an audience, that's where everyone goes, ah, goes mad, because you make it sound really moody, which is nice. Thanks, Indrani. If you're ever playing a jazz song and you want to make it sound just like that little bit spicier, just add the sharp 5 to any chord. So in the key of C, a normal C chord, C major would look like that. C major 7 would look like this. And then if you count up from C, C, D, E, F, G, if we take the G note, which is this one, and we sharp it by playing it there, you get a really nice tension. It's often called an augmented chord as well. It means the same thing. I tend to play it with these 2 fingers. But isn't that a great sounding chord as opposed to, this is lovely, but this one, it's just gorgeous. And then you get resolution to the 1 chord, which is really, really nice. I've got some red roses for a blue lady. I don't know that song, Karen. That's an amazing title for a song. I love that. Red roses for a blue lady. That's so sweet. I'm going to look that up later. I mean, it's entirely possible that if it's from this era, it could be that there was a bit of kind of, you know, copying and things. Also with jazz music, because even though it sounds discordant, there's a lot of formulaic parts like that. Those chromatic runs, you get a lot of these 1-6-2-5s or 2-5-1 combinations. So there's quite a lot of jazz music when played at the same tempo sounds almost the same. In fact, if you're really interested, because I love this stuff, if you play the exact chords to Autumn Leaves, but you put a G minor at the start, you get Fly Me to the Moon. Had to think for a minute there. Almost identical chords apart from one. So yeah, there you go. There you go. Right, what we'll do to finish off then is we'll put the whole thing together, and I won't talk over the top. So if you're not there yet, this could be a bit of an example so you can see how it'll sound when it's done. I'm still going to keep the tempo nice and slow. And if you are ready and you fancy a go, you can try playing through parts of this. Remember, if you get stuck on a section, like this is the hardest section, this second line, just come back in down here, just get ready and you can come back in, follow it along as we go. Let's give it a go then, guys, and I'll stick around at the end to see if there's any questions. I'm always here to help. All right, here we go. From the top. 1, 2, 3. Measure 12. First repeat. Right back to the start. Fret. C sharp 7 into the third line down. Now I'll skip to the second repeat. Well done, everyone. Well done. Well done. Yeah, it's I'm just answering Indrana's question. It's that this one will take a lot of practice. The great thing is, though, a lot of it's based on shapes, and if you can start to remember some of these shapes, like the start of the song, I kind of just have this in my mind, this shape the whole time, because it's largely built out of that, isn't it? In various ways. Then I think of this shape. And you just do it again, right? New shape. And then you can think about barring here. This is probably the trickiest part, isn't it? Because you've got these really tricky chords. But if you slow it right down, lead with that little finger. It's not too bad. Okay, this one's tough. And then again, we've got another shape. It's like G stretched out. So I'm kind of constantly thinking about these shapes as I play through it. And the more you do it, the more you'll get comfortable for sure. The other thing is to try and think of chords that look kind of similar that you know. So you know that where is it? The G sharp 7, for instance, that comes up a couple of times in the repeats. That's a really handy chord to know, because if we know this is an F7, like an F with this note added here, this is the 7th note in the key of F, all right, this E note, that's why it works. And you can also add this little finger, can't you, to an F7? Well, if you take that up one, gives us F sharp 7, and one further gives us G7. And then one more gives us that G sharp 7 in this song. We're playing it without that finger down for discordancy. But this is a really helpful G7, because if you're playing in the key of C, you know how the most common chords are like C, A minor, F, G7. That G7 comes up all the time, doesn't it? What you could do is practice playing it through by playing it up here. And that gives you a way, then you could go up the fretboard for the next bit. You could kind of same chords up here. But the main things, what I'm trying to get at is if you can kind of start to remember a few of those chords, like G7 here, you can then use your common knowledge to get common sense to get the rest. So this must be G sharp 7, G7, and this must be F sharp 7 and F7. Now if I take it back one more, look, it becomes E7. It's just that this finger moves off. So if you could just start remembering a few of these chords and the chord shapes, it works really, really well. If anyone wants to go at some of this stuff, this is from my jazz book. Some of the pieces are really tricky, but if you want to get into jazz music and you want a simple place to start, check out a teacher called Glenn Rose. Glenn Rose has a brilliant book called Jazzy Ukulele, and it's interesting because when he starts teaching you, he doesn't even give you the names for chords. He'll just say, literally, just play this shape, and this shape, and this shape. And you just kind of learn to put these shapes together. And he doesn't even tell you what they are until later in the book, because it's all about just getting your fingers used to these different shapes and building up the muscle memory, which is really nice. Just reminded me I can probably do... thanks, guys. Thanks, Pam. Thank you. I just realised I could probably show you that Fly Me to the Moon Autumn Leaves thing. So this is Fly Me to the Moon, right? Just watch my fingers. Fly... where are we? So, sorry, this is Autumn Leaves. Those autumn leaves drift by my window. Those autumn leaves of red and gold. Keep watching, I'm going to do that again. I see your lips, those summer kisses, those sunburned hands I used to hold. Now look what happens if I do exactly the same thing, but I put a G minor at the start. Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Exactly the same chords. You are all I long for, all I worship and adore. And that's why so much of jazz music sounds kind of so familiar. A lot of songs use exactly the same chords, just with little changes, which is cool. It's also why I think jazz music, it scares people, because you hear all these fancy pants chord names, but actually we use the same ones over and over again. So once you get used to them, it all becomes easy peasy lemon squeezy, and you can just take those chords up and down the fretboard. So if I wanted to play those Autumn Leaves in a different key, if I know it just goes this shape, this shape, this shape and I want to take it up a key, I just do the same thing here. And those autumn leaves drift by my window. Could even do it up here. Those autumn leaves drift by... I can't sing it because it's too high. But you start to realise that it's just moving things up and down, which is really, really neat and really empowering. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Remember, work your way through that slowly. And remember, you've got the simplified version on the second page and the full version on the first page. And either is absolutely fine. There's no right or wrong. See what works for you. If any of you really enjoy that and you feel like you want to give it a go, I'd love to see some of you use these videos as your submissions for maybe the competitions, or if you just like to have a trying to think of the word, post. If you just like to post a work in progress on our Facebook page, that'd be fantastic. I love it when people post works in progress because it shows that it takes us a long time to learn a song. It does for me, and it encourages others. So even if you think, oh, I haven't quite got this yet and it's a little bit wobbly in places, still stick a Facebook post up because it's really nice to encourage others and to see that process of you building in confidence as you get more used to it, and then eventually maybe do a version where it's sounding, you know, a bit more kind of up to your own standard or whatever. So it's well worth doing. If you ever want to join the group, just look up on Facebook Uke Students Hangout or Learn Ukulele with Matt, and you'll see it's a subgroup off there, and we really support each other. In terms of that, I know I've got a fair few of my group members from that here tonight. Just to let you know, guys, because everything's got so busy these last couple of weeks with all the YouTube stuff and the magazine thing and the retreat, of course, I just haven't had a chance to judge the competition. So I will get round to it, I absolutely promise, but it's probably going to be next week now. So if you've entered our Matt's Mega Challenge, I have seen most of them, not all of them. I'll judge it next week and I'll get back to you about that, and then we'll have a fresh one in September. I kind of it's become a bit of a cliche in our house now that I just keep saying when September comes, which I think is a song by Green Day, because I've got so much on in the summer. It's like, when September comes, we'll clean up the garden. When September comes, we'll do some autumn cleaning. When September comes, I'll sort the car out, you know. So it's become a bit of an excuse, but yeah, there'll be a lot more stuff coming when September comes, I absolutely promise. So, and we're nearly there now. It's only a week, isn't it? So yeah, fantastic. Shell's just saying a newbie can learn to play piano by watching which keys are pressed by an experienced player. It's a lot harder figuring out which is pressed when you look at someone playing the uke. You're right. Oh, when September ends in July. You're right, actually, Shell. Yeah, it's a lot easier to make sense of piano because it goes linear from the lowest note up in pitch. You can kind of see that a chord is built from a first, a third, and a fifth, you know, when the pianist does that shape. Whereas on ukulele, it all gets jumbled about up the fretboard. But even so, and Shell, this is your challenge personally from me. See if you can start to spot shapes. So if you look up some of these, I might put them in the comments actually. If you look up some of these players that play a lot of jazz, some of them you guys know already. So Sarah Maisel, I'll bring this on screen in a sec. Craig G, Benny Chong. These are all great jazz players. Lyle Ritz, Clem Rose. Trying to think, there's so many. I'm doing people a disservice by not mentioning them, but of course James Hill does a bit as well. Lyle Ritz, classic jazz ukulele player in the first really. I'll bring them on the screen. What I want you to do is look up these. You can write them down quickly and look them up on YouTube. Sarah Maisel, Craig G, most of us know those guys, right? Benny Chong is my absolute hero when it comes to playing jazz music. He plays it on a baritone ukulele mostly. Lyle Ritz, he was really, he played on Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. who is a great bassist and ukulele player, and he had some albums out in the 50s of jazz ukulele. Amazing. Sadly, no longer with us. He passed away about 10 years ago. Glenn Rose, who I mentioned before with his jazzy uke book. James Hill does a bit. I've mentioned Lyle Ritz twice. He's so good, I mentioned him twice. Another one is Brian Tolentino from Hawaii. Have a look at his playing as well. And of course, our very own Jeff Peterson, who does some beautiful jazz stuff as well. But what I want you to do is look them up on YouTube and just see if you can see shapes. All right, so you'll see a lot of this and this, which I actually play with 3 fingers. And you'll see a lot of this, which is major 7th, and this. Okay, and you'll see that a lot of what they play is based on these 4 chords. This shape, this shape, this shape, and this shape. Okay, a lot of it will be based on those chords. I'll explain more in another lesson. If you do want to learn more about jazz and you just want a really simple way of starting, if you're one of my members, if you go to my jazz and blues course, there's lots on there where you can learn about kind of starting to build this together. And I tackle things like Autumn Leaves, where I show you how to play it really, really simply and start to learn to some of these shapes so you can piece them together. So do check that out. And I've also got a few jazz ones on YouTube as well, which is worth having a look at as well. Okay, so a couple of other things. Just remind you, do join me this Wednesday if you can. For While My Guitar Gently Weeps. We're going to do a lovely Jake Shimabukuro version, basically thinking about how Jake strums more than anything, and we get these lovely sounds hinted at it earlier, this kind of all that sort of stuff. Really beautiful Jake Shimabukuro style chords that I'll teach you, and it's actually really simple to do. Really beautiful, simple 2-finger chords, which sounds absolutely fantastic. So that's going to be this Wednesday at 3:30. Come and join if you can. And Shell's he's accepted my challenge. Love it. Fantastic. We'll be back for another of these Melodic Mondays in 2 weeks' time, when we're going to look at another jazz piece, but you'll be glad to know a lot easier than this. We're going to look at a beautiful song called Love Letters. That's going to be our next Melodic Mondays in 2 weeks' time. And then after that, because we alternate between Mondays, we'll have my Canacapilla Mondays, our live jam where I teach you to play by ear. I'm going to look at some really cool songs for that. We're going to have a retreat special where we play songs from the songbook, which should be really good fun. And don't forget, keep an eye out on social media, because soon I'll have my my uke celebration. So when we reach 100k and we've got all of these things going on, I'm going to have a big party. So it'll be after the retreat, but I'll announce it in advance so you can come and join us. It's going to be all completely for free. Everything for free, and loads of cool stuff happening. So check that out as well. Oh, and Harry is saying we've got 171 days whoop, whoop, to the ukulele cruise. I cannot wait. Absolutely one of my favourite highlights. I'd like to say of my year, like I do it every year. That would be nice, but I absolutely love it. If you can join us, we're going to sail from Fort Lauderdale, and we're going to go to Puerto Rico, St. Kitts, the Dominican Republic. I think I've got the full list here. Do get in touch with Donna. There are still tickets left, so still space for you if you'd like to come along and join me. It's a beautiful ship, beautiful islands, amazing wildlife, really amazing friendship group that you'll form as well. I know a lot of the people that were on the last cruise. Some of them have been to previous cruises, some of them hadn't, and they've really come together. They still message each other and they're still friends, and I think that's absolutely fantastic. Just email Donna if you're interested in coming, and she'll give you all of the details. If there's anyone that wants to come on their own and they're a bit nervous, or if they want to save a bit of money, we do have one chap that's has a cabin and he's looking for a roommate. And you might think, oh, crazy, I couldn't do that. But you'll have separate beds, don't worry. It's not top to tails. And last year, it worked out really well. We had a couple of people sharing rooms and they became great friends and it's all good. So if you fancy that and you want to save a bit of money, do get in touch because it would be really nice for him to have a roommate. So yeah, get in touch with Donna. That's going to be a whole heap of fun. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And 171 days. I would say I was counting them down, but I've forgotten how many we had to go. But I will be counting them down now, Harry. I know it's 171. Fantastic. Okay, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. Thanks once again for all your support. It's really meant a lot to me. So we'll have a big party to celebrate lots of things and keep that positivity going. Just on something a little bit more serious, again, lots of you will know that sadly our Facebook admin and more than that, a great friend and much beloved friend Esther passed away last week. Just keep in touch if you'd like to know details. We're going to have a celebration of her life over here in the UK. I'll talk more about it at and after the retreat as well if anyone's interested. But we're all going to get together and we're going to play music and just have a good time because that's exactly what she wanted. So if you're interested in that and you'd like to come and kind of remember Esther with us and celebrate her life, I'll put details when I have them. I've been talking to her brother Peter and Floren about that, so we'll have that. I'll have details of that shortly, and it'd be lovely to see some of you. Okay, folks, well, I will see some of you in like 4 days time, which is really exciting. And even if I don't, remember I'm going to do loads of live streams from the festival, the Uke retreat. So do tune in if you can. Keep an eye out on Facebook and on YouTube, and I will let you know all the details as of when it will be happening. And yeah, if you could give the video a thumbs up, that would be fantastic. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Shell. Well, take care, everyone, and we will see you soon. Definitely tune in this Friday on Facebook and YouTube because we're going to be live broadcasting from Karen and my's Canacapila live jam to start the festival. So check it out if you can. All right, much love. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you soon.